Today we're going to be talking about the future wife test. And originally I made a shorter form video over on Instagram about this topic where I kind of went through a few of the things that I think are important and when a man is deciding if a woman is worth building a life with or not. And the list is surprisingly short. There's only 3 of them. But today I want to flip the script a little bit. I want to flip the topic because I would assume that the men that are watching this video are probably not trying to become wives. At least I would hope not. I don't know if that's your thing. If it is, this video is not for you. But what you are trying to do is figure out how to choose the right woman to be that wife. And I think that this topic, year over year, becomes increasingly difficult. Because men are constantly being told what it is that they should be looking for. She's got to look like this, she needs to dress a certain way, she needs to have a certain type of career or pick a certain way that she wants to live her life. She's got to cook, she's got to have these certain habits, she's got to be feminine. Everybody is so quick to tell you what it is that you should be looking for in a wife. And when you have all of this fucking laundry list of traits on what it is that you should be looking for, eventually all you're going to end up with is an Excel sheet for a girlfriend. And I don't think it really needs to be that complicated. Because when I boil it down to what is actually important to me and what I think should be important to the men out there that are looking for a wife, I keep coming back to 3 questions. And those 3 questions are, am I attracted to her? Does she have a past that I can accept? And does she bring peace into my life? That's pretty much it. And now obviously there's a million other little things that lie underneath those 3 questions. And we're going to get into all of those things. But I think that those 3 questions give you a pretty damn good framework towards figuring out, all right, is this a woman that I'm just attracted to? Or is this a woman that I am supposed to build a life with? Because gentlemen, let me tell you, those are 2 completely different women. So let's get into it. Now, test number 1. Am I attracted to her? And this is an obvious one. I'm putting this one first for a reason. Because you need to be attracted to the woman that you're with. That is a non-negotiable. I don't subscribe to the idea that looks don't matter and if you find someone with a good personality, then eventually everything else is all going to figure itself out. I don't buy that bullshit. You are entering into a romantic relationship. You should want your girlfriend. You should want your wife to be beautiful. You should view her as beautiful. There needs to be a level of physical attraction in order for a relationship to work. If it's not there, it will not work in the long run. But here's where I think a lot of men fuck themselves. They stop the test right there. They find a woman that they think is beautiful, and then all of a sudden, every other standard that they tell you they had goes flying out the fucking window. I have seen this time and time again. You got a guy who's got all these standards. He thinks he's the fucking man. And then he gets one woman to suck his dick, and all of a sudden, he is the biggest pussy on the planet. He will do whatever this woman says and completely transforms into a different person. I can't tell you how many times I've seen this. This woman could be absolutely terrible for him. His friends could hate her. His family could hate her. She could be just the biggest fucking dickhead on the planet. She's creating different problems every 3 days. My boy is constantly stressed, but she's hot. So he's sitting here thinking, we'll figure it out. No, bro, you're not going to figure it out. You just want some pussy. Your dumb ass is just horny. There's a difference between we'll figure it out and you're a retard. Massive difference between the 2 there, fellas. Now, what you need to understand is that attraction just gets her in the door. That's how I think you guys need to start viewing attraction. It just gets her in the door. It's like sending an invite. Just because you get a job interview, that doesn't mean you get the fucking job. You still got to pass the interview. And I think especially when you're younger, all of the young men out there need to understand this because when you meet someone beautiful and you have such a high level of physical attraction for somebody, that is so powerful in a way where you start giving somebody qualities and you start giving them credit for qualities that they've never actually demonstrated. You start giving them credit for things that have never actually happened. This woman's beautiful, so you just automatically assume that she's interesting. This woman's beautiful, so you overlook disrespect. She's beautiful, so you just ignore the red flags. She's beautiful, so you tolerate shit from her that you wouldn't tolerate for 5 minutes from somebody that you were not attracted to. And then 6 months later, you're sitting around with your boys and you're like, dude, like, I don't even know why the relationship is such a disaster. Like, I don't know what happened. Well, my boy, you never actually evaluated her. All you did was evaluate her face. And guess what? Her face passed with flying colors. Congratulations. But I got some news here for you. You need to understand what we're trying to pick here. You're trying to pick somebody that you may potentially spend the next 40 to 50 years with. So there should probably be a couple more questions that we're asking other than, do I get a fucking boner when I look at this woman? You guys get your dick hard once and all reasoning goes out the window. So an important motherfucking thing that you need to understand is you cannot let attraction override your judgment. As soon as attraction overrides your judgment, you lost. You're fucked. Now, even though I'm coming at you guys on this, we've all done it. I've done it. You've done it. Your boy has done it. It is a rite of passage. It is a rite of passage from becoming a boy to a man. You will let attraction cloud your judgment. But the question here is whether or not you let it happen again. You meet a girl who's exactly your type, and all of a sudden your standards become negotiable. Something that would have been a massive red flag with another woman suddenly becomes, maybe I'm overthinking it. Nah, it's not that big of a deal. Think about it. And it's like, no, you're not fucking overthinking it. You're just attracted to her. And here's the funny thing about attraction. Attraction is supposed to make you interested. It's not supposed to make you a fucking idiot. You're not supposed to turn into a dumbass because you're attracted to a woman. That may be. I may have just broke ground on just some crazy wisdom that you've never heard in your life, but come a little closer. Just because you think a woman's hot doesn't mean you can turn into a fucking idiot. Get that through your brain, because there is a huge difference between you saying, I want this woman, and you saying that I trust this woman with my future. One is attraction. The other requires some information. You need to do a little more digging, a little more groundwork before you can come to the conclusion. Now, the woman you want does not automatically equal the woman that you should choose. Let me say that again. The woman you want, so that woman who's got a fat ass and a fat pair of titties, but she's a dickhead and you want her, does not automatically mean that that's the woman you should choose. And that is really the distinction that we're making today. There's going to be a lot of women throughout your life that you are attracted to. There's going to be a lot of women that you may be willing to sleep with. There's going to be a lot of women that you may be willing to casually date. You know, women that you may have a great 3 months with. You learn some things from each other. You have fun. I'm not saying that you need to hate these women. I'm not saying that these are bad women. All it means is that every woman you're attracted to doesn't automatically just qualify for the role that you're trying to fill here. Because if you're looking for a wife, you're making a completely different decision here. You're asking a whole long list of questions. Can I trust this person? Can I build with this person? Can I live with this person at some point? Can I raise children with this person? Can I handle the problems that life is gonna throw at me with this woman by my side? Because when you finally ask yourself those questions, when it is that you're dating, suddenly, being hot is not enough. Being hot no longer that is prerequisite bullshit. Yes, it's important, but it is in no way, shape, or form a part of your decision making. All it does is get her through test number 1, but now we need to go deeper. Because now that you've established you're attracted to her, I think the next question is something that a lot of men are scared to admit that it matters to them. And that question is, test number 2, does she have a past that I can accept? And I want you to all pay attention to how I am wording this. I am not saying, does she have a past? Everyone has a past. And I'm not even going to sit here and give you some sort of universal number, like if she's been with this many guys, then she's good, but if she's been with one more than that, oh, she's disqualified, okay? I can't tell you how many fucking DMs I get asking me like, bro, what's the number for how many guys she's been with that it's not okay? Bro, that's for you to decide. How can I tell you how okay you should be with how many men your woman has been with in the past? That is something you need to fucking grow up and figure out for yourself. So I don't have a number for you. That is not how this works. You need to figure that out. But the question is, does she have a past that you can genuinely be okay with? Because here's the reality. Every man is going to have a different answer. And all of these alpha bro fucking guys are going to sit here and be like, my woman needs to be a virgin or I'm never going to talk to her. It's like, bro, relax, all right? I'm not saying that you guys should be wifing up hoes, okay? But if your woman had a boyfriend in high school and a boyfriend in college and then you meet her, what the fuck are you going to do about it? You going to get rid of a good woman because she had a boyfriend in the past? Grow the fuck up. Grow the fuck up, all right? There's going to be guys out there that don't give a shit about certain things, and then there's going to be guys out there who those exact things would be an immediate deal breaker. And that is okay. You are the one that has to date her, not everyone else. Do I think you should wife a hoe? Absolutely not. If you don't care about a woman's past and you're fine with that, so be it. Go do what you got to do. I'm not losing sleep at night because you decided to go and do that. You are the one that has to date her. You are the one that potentially has to marry her. You are the one who has to potentially build a family with her. So why the fuck does anybody else have a say in what it is that you care about? Fuck. We are experiencing technical difficulties. Back to business. Anyway, what I can do for you is I can give you a set of things that it is that I care about, that I think would give me the best chance of picking a good woman and a woman that is worth building a life with, that I think are important. That doesn't mean you have to think they're important, but that's what I can do for you. I can't tell you exactly what it is that you should do. But one thing you need to know is that you're allowed to have standards. That is okay. And I think a lot of men have gotten really weird in modern dating because they're scared to admit that a woman's past matters to them. Because they think, I don't know, you see all these women out here, they're like, that's so insecure and immature, and they read the fucking script of bullshit so that they can abscond themselves of having to have any sort of accountability for the decisions that they have chosen to make in their life. But you are allowed to admit that pasts matter, okay? You're allowed to do that. But a distinction you need to understand here is I am obviously talking about more than just body count. Yes, body count matters. If you ask a woman straight up what her body count is, are you going to get a straight answer? 99.9% of the time, probably not. She's gonna lie. So this is way deeper than that. That's surface level, college, stupid bullshit. You gotta look at more than that to really get the answer you're looking for. Maybe she cheated in every relationship that she's ever been in. Maybe every breakup she's had ended up in absolute fucking disaster. Maybe she has a history of dating people who are married. Maybe she treated every boyfriend before you terribly. Maybe she has lived a lifestyle that is completely incompatible with the life that you're trying to build. Or yeah, maybe she has a sexual history that you are completely uncomfortable with. You are allowed to care about that. Just like she is allowed to care about your past. Most women don't really care about a man's past like we do, but they're allowed to. If that's something you really want to have some beef with. If a woman meets you and she says you cheated on your last 3 girlfriends, that's not a risk I'm willing to take. Fair. She's allowed to say you slept with 200 women, that's not really something that I'm looking for in a husband. Fair. She's allowed to have that choice, that preference. You know, you spent the last 10 years partying and now you say you want to settle down. I don't really believe you. Fair. Because when somebody is deciding whether they're going to spend life with you or not, they are allowed to evaluate the life that you lived before them. Now, that doesn't mean that people can't change. Very rarely do people change. But that also doesn't mean that someone should be defined by, the worst thing that they've ever done. But sitting here and pretending that the past means absolutely nothing is stupid. It's very immature. The past will matter differently to different people, for sure. But we're not going to sit here and act like it doesn't matter. That is child, unaccountable bullshit. And women love it because it allows them to get away with bad choices. Now, your past isn't your future, but it is information. And that's how I think men need to look at this. Her past doesn't necessarily mean that that's exactly how she's going to act in the future, but you can't ignore the information that it gives you. Because information matters when you are making important decisions. If I'm hiring somebody to manage my money, and I find out that the last 6 companies they've worked for, they bankrupted those companies, can somebody change? Absolutely. Am I still going to want to know what the fuck happened? Yeah, you bet your ass I do. Because that past behavior gives me information. And relationships are absolutely no different. If every relationship that she's been in the past ended with her cheating on her boyfriend, that doesn't guarantee that she's going to cheat on you. But I'm probably not going to sit here and, throw the fucking blindfold on and act like I didn't hear that. You investigate, you ask questions, you gather information, and you decide whether the person that's sitting in front of you today is actually different from the person that made those decisions in the past. And I will be the bearer of bad news 9 times out of 10, they will not be different. They will be the exact fucking same. Because there's a massive difference between somebody who has made mistakes, learned from those mistakes, took accountability, and changed, versus somebody who has just continued making the same mistakes over the past 10 years, and there's absolutely no degree of accountability, and every ex was just toxic. You don't get it. They were so toxic and insecure. You hear that shit, get them out of there. So, you need to look for patterns. This is important. You're not looking for perfection here. If you're looking for a woman that has just never made a bad decision, never dated the wrong guy, never had a bad relationship, never done something she regrets, good fucking luck. Chances are you're not going to find one. What you are looking for is patterns. How does she talk about the decisions that she's made in the past? Does she take accountability? Has her behavior changed? Does the life that she's living now actually match the person that she claims to be? Because I also think that that's much more useful than obsessing over something that somebody did 5 years ago. Now, are there things that women could have done that are absolute deal breakers? For sure. You find out your girl was in a threesome with 2 dudes, peace. Ain't getting over that. You figure out your girl's got 50 bodies, goodbye. Yeah, see ya. You're trying to figure out who is this person today, okay? Because I'll tell you what, there also is probably a lot of women out there that may not have a bad past, but are still shitty people. And now, once you figure out what her past is, you can accept it or you can walk away. And gentlemen, let me tell you, this is where a lot of men fuck up. If you learn about a woman's past and you decide to accept it and you stay with her, you don't get to punish her for the next 5 years. You don't get to keep being passive aggressive like a little pussy because you decided to stay with a woman that has a past that you weren't really okay with. You don't get to bring it up every time you argue. You don't get to call her names because you're pissed off. You don't get to constantly interrogate her about something that happened before she knew you because you chose to stay with her after you found out what her past was. Because the reality is, if this is something that you genuinely are not okay with, you just don't have to date her. You can just not talk to her ever again. You have that choice. And I also don't mean tell yourself that you can get over this somehow because she's beautiful and you don't want to lose her. You need to actually ask yourself, can I still respect this woman knowing what I know now? Can I know this and never use it against her? Can I know this and genuinely move forward? Because if the answer is no, walk the fuck away. There's plenty of other women out there, fellas. And last but not least, test number 3, does she bring peace into my life? And me personally, this is probably the most important test. After you've gotten past attraction, after you've gotten past if she has a past that you can accept or not, this is probably the most important one. Does she bring peace into my life? And I know that when men say this, Women especially love to take it to just the most absolute extreme. They're like, oh, so you don't want a woman that ever disagrees with you? No. When did I say that? You want somebody that just sits there and does exactly whatever you say? That's not what I'm saying. That's not what peace means. Your girlfriend can disagree with you. She can tell you when you're fucking up. She can challenge you. She can have her own opinions. She can be mad at you. You are two human beings. You're gonna argue sometimes. Peace does not mean the absence of conflict. Conflict is inevitable in a relationship. Peace just means the absence of unnecessary chaos, because there is a very big distinction between the two of those. Peace does not equal no conflict. And I think this is where a lot of guys get this wrong. If you are looking for a relationship that will never have any conflict, stay single forever, brother. Stay single forever. Two people can love each other and still piss each other off. You're gonna have bad days. You guys are gonna misunderstand each other sometimes. You're gonna have disagreements about money, family, where you're going, what you're doing. That's life. So the question is not whether conflict happens. The question is, what does she do when conflict happens? You know, can we have a disagreement without the relationship feeling like it's threatened? Can I tell her something that bothered me without World War III kicking off? Can she tell me something that I did wrong without disrespecting me? Can we solve problems and actually move on from it? Or does every single little issue that happens end up in just absolute turmoil where everyone's yelling and people are blocking each other and posting shit on Instagram and calling your friends, and now everyone thinks that you're gonna break up? And then 3 hours later, neither one of us even remembers what the original fucking argument was about. That's not passion, that's chaos. And most of you are involved in chaos, disguised as, no, we just love each other. No, you both are fucking wrong for each other. That's the reality. You need to stop confusing chaos with chemistry. And this is something I really want you to pay attention to, especially if you're a younger man, because it's very easy to confuse chaos and chemistry. The chaos can be very addicting. You meet a woman and the highs are fucking incredible. When things are good, they're amazing. Best sex you ever had. You're obsessed with each other. You're texting all day. You're up talking all night. But when things are bad, they're fucking terrible. You're fighting. You're breaking up. You're getting back together. You're checking each other's phones. Someone's jealous. Somebody's trying to make the other person jealous. Then you have these massive reconciliations where everything feels incredible again. And then you're sitting here thinking like, wow, you know, I've never felt this way. Never had these such strong feelings about somebody before. This must be love. Maybe. Probably fucking not. Maybe your nervous system is just fucking exhausted. Because all you guys do is this all the fucking time. Up and down, up and down, up and down. That's not love. You need to understand the difference between peace and chaos. Trust versus suspicion. Communication versus constant arguments. Support versus competition. Stability versus uncertainty. Respect versus drama. Your relationship should not be the hardest part of your life, fellas. Too many of you, your love life and your dating life is the most difficult part of your life. That's not how it's supposed to be. And I can't tell you how many times I've already said this at this point. Life is already fucking hard. You've got work, you've got money, you've got your health, you've got family, you've got goals you're trying to accomplish, you've got shit going wrong that is completely out of either of your controls. Your relationship is supposed to be the place where the two of you can come together and deal with those things. Your relationship should not be another fucking problem that's waiting for you when you get home. And gentlemen, especially if you are an ambitious, high-performing man, this is even more important. Because if you're actually trying to build something with your life, you're trying to do anything that is worth fuck all, the woman that you choose can either become the greatest asset that you have ever invested into, or it can become the greatest distraction that you have ever created. And I don't mean asset like your fucking employee. I mean having somebody in your corner who believes in you, who supports you, who you can trust, somebody who makes your home a place that you actually want to come back to. That changes your life. But if every ounce of energy that you have after you're done dealing with the fucking world is spent trying to manage your relationship, how long do you think you're going to be able to do that for? Because I got the answer. Not very long. Real quick, if you've made it this far in the episode, this stuff clearly hits home for you. If you want help in your dating journey or your life journey and not just videos, that's exactly what I do inside the TZG Institute of Societal Change, which is my men's transformation program. Over the past few years, I have helped thousands of men through my content fix these exact problems, seeing the patterns, fixing what's actually broken, and becoming the man that the right woman wants to be with. So if this sounds like something that you'd be interested in, I have put the application link down in the description of this video. I would love to work with you and be able to set you up for success. Back to the episode. So here's probably the simplest test that I can give you. How do you feel when you're around her? You need to pay attention to how you consistently feel after you're around her. Not after the first date when you're excited. Not after you guys just had sex. Not when everything is all roses and fucking butterflies and everything's perfect. I'm talking about 6 months in, a year in, 2 years in. Do you genuinely feel better when she's around? Do you feel supported? Do you feel like you can be yourself? Do you trust her? Do you look forward to seeing her? Or do you see her name pop up on your phone and you're like, ugh, what the fuck is it now? And I know that sounds crazy, but I have met some people who genuinely, they fucking hate their girlfriend. It's like, why are you guys together? But I got some news for you. Your body might be figuring this shit out before your brain. Because if every interaction that you have with your girlfriend leaves you feeling drained, if you're constantly anxious about where you stand, if you're worried about saying the wrong thing, if you feel more relaxed when she's not around than when she is, that's information that you need to be paying attention to. But now, here's another thing you need to understand. Peace goes both ways. You don't get to demand peace from a woman while you're bringing chaos into her fucking life. Too many of you guys out there are worried about what women are doing in dating when nobody should be dating you, brother. You're the problem. You think, oh, there's too many, all these women out here are so bad, when you are a walking ball of fucking problems. You're a walking ball of chaos. Why would any woman want to be around you? You know, you don't get to disappear for 2 days, go fuck a bunch of other women, lie about where you are, refuse to communicate, and give her absolutely no reason to trust you. And then when she gets upset, you go, see, this is the problem. No women bring peace into my life. They're horrible. No, dude. You're the problem. You're the fucking problem, my boy. Peace goes both ways. If you want a woman that is respectful, trustworthy, supportive, emotionally stable, then you need to create an environment where the woman that you're with is able to be those things. You need to be trustworthy. You need to be supportive. You need to be consistent. You need to understand how to communicate. You need to have control over your emotions. You need to make her feel like you're on her team too. Because you're never going to find a woman that'll bring peace into your life while you're fucking setting her on fire every day. So when I say, does she bring peace into my life? I'm really hinting at something much bigger. Does she make my life better? Does my life become better with this woman in it? I'm not saying easier. I'm not saying your life is perfect now. No, better. Does she add something to my life that I don't want to lose? Can we solve problems together? Can I trust her when I'm not around? Can I be focused on building whatever it is that I'm trying to build in my life without constantly wondering where my relationship stands? Can I imagine coming home to this person for the next 40 years and knowing that I made the right decision? Because now look at where we are. Test number 1, am I attracted to her? Test number 2, I know who she is, and I know where she's been, and I can genuinely accept it. And lastly, test number 3, being with her makes my life better instead of more chaotic. Gentlemen, if you got those 3, what more are you looking for? You are looking at a completely different category of woman. So now that we've gone through all 3, when you put those 3 together, I think you get something that I wish a lot of men understood earlier. The woman you date versus the woman you marry. And when you put those 3 together, you realize that the qualities that make you want a woman aren't necessarily the same qualities that make you want to build a life with a woman. And that's where a lot of guys get themselves into trouble, because they'll meet a woman, she's fun, the sex is great, you guys have chemistry, you have an unbelievable time together, and then this guy will be fucking sitting here thinking like, oh, you know, she might be the one. Based on fucking what? You've established that you enjoy dating her. That's important. But marriage is not just dating somebody for a really long time. You're choosing a partner for your actual life. And those are two very different evaluations that you need to make. So I think men need to start separating these three levels: attraction, dating, building a life. We have three separate levels. There are going to be women that you are attracted to. There are going to be women that you would enjoy dating. And then there are going to be women that you should actually be building a life with. And the pool of those women should get smaller every level that you move down. You might walk into a room and find 10 women attractive. Maybe you'd actually date 3 of them. And then after you started talking to and you get to know those 3, maybe there's one where you're like, all right, I could actually see myself building something long-term here with her. That's normal. That's how that process should go. But the mistake that you all make is you meet a woman at level 1 and then you immediately mentally promote her to level 3 because you're fucking excited. And guys do this stupid shit all the time. You'll go on 3 dates with a beautiful woman and now you're sitting here imagining what your kids are gonna look like together. Brother, you don't even know what she's like when she's told no yet. Calm the fuck down. You're operating at an 8. We need to bring it back down to a fucking 2. Next thing you need to do is date with your eyes open. Most of you are walking around fucking blindfolded. And I'm not telling you to turn dating into a job interview either. That's the other extreme of this. You'll have a bunch of guys that'll sit down on a first date and they're like, so what do you bring to the table? What type of value do you have to bring to the table today? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? And also, if you could provide 3 references from your previous boyfriend so that I'm able to take a look at those, see what I'm getting myself into with this investment. Guess what? That's fucking weird. You're weird, bro. If you on any date, ask a woman that. You're fucking weird. You need to enjoy dating. Have fun. Get to know her naturally. But pay attention. That's the difference. Because people will tell you who they are if you give them enough time. And if you shut the fuck up. Too many of you guys talk too much. Shut the fuck up and listen. Especially women, they will tell on themselves. They'll tell on themselves without even realizing it. You don't need to sit here and interrogate somebody. Watch them. How does she treat people when there's nothing to gain from being nice to them? How does she handle frustration? How does she talk about people that aren't in the room with her? How does she talk about her exes? How does she behave when she drinks? What happens when she disagrees? What happens when she doesn't get what she wants? Does what she says actually line up with what she does? All of those little moments will tell you significantly more than whatever answer this person will give you when you ask them, so what do you want in a relationship? Everyone knows how to answer that question. But behavior is much harder to fake. Now, another thing that needs to happen is men need to stop dating potential. And I think guys do this a lot more than we want to admit. You meet a woman and, there's things about her that clearly bother you. And instead of evaluating the person that's standing in front of you, you start dating a version of this woman that exists 6 months from now, but it only exists in your imagination. Once she stops doing this, once she gets over that, once she matures a little bit, once we're more serious, she'll probably change. Maybe, but what if she doesn't? Because I got some news for you. If you need somebody to fundamentally change who they are before you'd be happy to build a life with them, you don't want them, my boy. You want their potential. And listen, brother, that's a dangerous fucking game to be playing. Because I'm not saying that people don't grow together. You should grow together. And I'm not saying that the person you marry at 25 or 30 needs to be the exact same person at 45 or 50. But there's a difference between growing with somebody and beginning a relationship with the expectation that you're going to remodel this person. Make sure you know which one you're picking. Next thing you need to know. Don't choose a wife because you're afraid to be alone. And this is another reason I think a lot of men either avoid or ignore using these tests because they're scared to lose the woman or they're scared that they won't find another one. And when this happens, they start negotiating against themselves. They understand that this relationship is not peaceful. They understand that there's something about her past that they genuinely can't accept. But then you sit here and start thinking, oh, what if this is as good as it gets? And that right there is a terrible reason to choose somebody. Because now you're not choosing her because you know that she's right for you. You're choosing her because you're afraid of starting over. But I'll tell you what, I'd rather spend another 5 years single than be married to somebody for 10 years that I knew was wrong for me 6 months in. Being alone can suck, but being with the wrong person, that can change the trajectory of your entire fucking life. So, the future wife test. Number 1, am I attracted to her? Not, is this the hottest woman on the fucking planet? Am I genuinely attracted to the woman that I am choosing? If the answer to that is yes, good. Number 2, does she have a past that I can genuinely accept? Not a past that I can pretend to accept, not pretend that it doesn't bother me because I don't want to lose her. Can I actually know who she was before me, respect who she is today, and move forward? If the answer to that is yes, good. And lastly, test number 3, does she bring peace into my life? Does this relationship generally make my life better? Can I trust her? Can we solve problems together? Do I respect her? Do I actually like the life that we have when we're together? If it's yes, good. And gentlemen, if you're sitting there waiting for me to give you number 4, there is no number 4. That's it. There's 3 of them. And that's kind of the entire point of this video. I don't think that finding a woman needs to be nearly as complicated as you guys make it out to be. Are you attracted to her? Can you accept her past? Does she bring peace into your life and make your life better? If you have all of those 3, you probably have somebody that's worth taking seriously. And obviously, no woman is perfect. You're not perfect. The goal here is not to check off fucking 97 boxes and find a woman that's never done anything bad in her life. The goal is to find somebody that can check those 3 boxes, because you're not just picking somebody that you're going to date. You're picking somebody that you may potentially be spending the next 40 or 50 years with. So choose accordingly. Thank you for coming to Office Hours today. It was another great episode. We're building something big over here. We're going to keep trucking along, pushing episodes out as often as we can, and I'll see you at sometime next week.